There's a reason Stoic men don't rush into love. Because every woman can look perfect in the beginning. Her words can sound sincere. Her eyes can feel honest. But time always reveals character. See, most men fall for beauty, charm, attention, but few have the patience to test the soul behind the smile. And that's why so many end up betrayed by the same illusion they created. Today, we're not talking about manipulation. We're talking about awareness, the kind of awareness that protects your peace. Because the truth is this, you don't truly know a woman until life puts her under pressure. In this video, you'll learn 5 quiet tests not to control her, but to understand who she really is when the mask fades. These aren't tricks. They're reflections. Each one will reveal whether she values respect, loyalty, and gratitude, or whether she's only there when it benefits her. Remember, the Stoics never judged people by how they spoke, but by how they behaved when no one was watching. So stay with me, because once you see these 5 truths clearly, you'll never waste your time on the wrong woman again. Every man, at some point, has fallen for an illusion. It begins the same way: the spark, the laughter, the effortless connection. You tell yourself, she's different. But here's the truth few men want to face in the beginning. Everyone is performing. You, her, both. Attraction is theater. Character is revealed in silence. The first test isn't about her beauty, her charm, or even how much she seems to like you. It's about whether you can stay grounded while the illusion of perfection tries to pull you in. Because when emotions rise, logic falls asleep. And that's when weak men start handing over their power fast. Women are naturally intuitive. They read energy better than men read words. When she senses that you've already placed her on a pedestal, that you've stopped observing and started needing, she stops respecting you. The dynamic shifts quietly. You think you're bonding, but she's already lost curiosity. That's why the first test is about observation without attachment. When you meet a woman, don't rush to define what she means to you. Watch how she moves through life when she's not trying to impress you. Listen to how she talks about people who can't do anything for her. Pay attention to how she handles small inconveniences, the waiter bringing the wrong drink, a slow response from a friend, the world not moving fast enough for her, because that's where the truth leaks out. See, her behavior in comfort tells you nothing. Her behavior in frustration tells you everything. The Stoics had a word for this prosos, the art of attention. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts," meaning, no matter how beautiful someone appears, their reactions reveal the real pigment of their nature. When you observe long enough, you start seeing the contrast between what she says and what she is. But most men never last that long. They rush to claim what they barely understand. They confuse intensity with intimacy, attraction with alignment. They tell themselves, she feels right. But they never stop to ask, does she live right? That's the illusion test. Can you resist the urge to make her special before she's proven worthy of that title? If you can't, you're not seeing her, you're seeing the version of her your loneliness invented. Here's how illusion traps you. She smiles differently, laughs softly, mirrors your energy. And suddenly, you're convinced you've found something rare. But the truth is, in the early stages, everyone's showing their best side. The difference is, the Stoic man doesn't rush to believe it. He watches the consistency behind the charm. He knows that emotional control is more attractive than emotional expression. He knows that composure draws out truth, because when you stay calm, when you don't rush to please or impress, people reveal themselves naturally. Try this when she shares something personal. Don't rush to comfort or flatter. Stay still. Watch how she handles your calm energy. Does she lean in curious, feminine, open, or does she get restless because you're not feeding her ego? That small reaction will tell you more about her emotional maturity than hours of conversation. The illusion starts to fade the moment silence enters. Most people fill silence with performance. They can't stand the stillness because it reveals who they are. But a woman with depth won't need to keep performing. She'll settle into your calm. She'll find safety in your steadiness. So the first test isn't about her, it's about you. Can you stay silent long enough to see her clearly? Can you observe without projecting? Can you hold your ground when your emotions tell you to chase? Because in that space between impulse and action is where clarity lives. The man who passes this test doesn't fall for appearances. He studies patterns. He doesn't get hypnotized by charm. He measures consistency. He doesn't mistake chemistry for compatibility. He waits, watches, learns, and that patience alone separates him from every man she's ever met. The illusion test is simple, but brutal. Can you remain calm when the fantasy of who she could be tempts you to stop seeing who she actually is? Most fail because they want connection more than truth. But the Stoic man, he'd rather lose an illusion than keep a lie. Respect. It's a small word, but it reveals everything about a woman's character. Most men chase a fiction. Stoic men observe, respect. Because affection can be faked, it's easy to smile, to flirt, to say the right things when the moment feels good. But respect, that can't be performed for long. Respect is revealed when you say no, when you draw a line, when you act from principle instead of impulse. The respect test begins. The moment you stop trying to impress her. See, every woman can act interested when you're giving her attention, effort, and energy. But when you pull back, when you choose your peace over her validation, that's when her true attitude surfaces. Does she stay kind? Or does she turn cold? Does she respect your boundaries? Or try to guilt you into breaking them? Does she listen when you speak? Or wait for her turn to talk? These little moments tell you who she really is. Because respect isn't just about manners. It's about emotional hierarchy, whether she sees you as an equal, a leader, or a tool. Women test respect all the time, often without realizing it. She might interrupt you mid-sentence to see if you lose composure. She might arrive late to check whether you'll still smile and act grateful she showed up. She might throw a small jab. "Oh, you're so serious," just to see if you get defensive. And in those tiny moments, her subconscious is asking one thing: are you a man I can respect, or another boy I can control? Here's the paradox. The more you demand respect, the less you'll receive it. But the more you embody it, the more it becomes automatic. You can't force someone to value your time, but you can control whether you give it away cheaply. You can't force someone to listen, but you can walk away from those who don't. And you can't teach a woman to respect you, but you can live in a way that makes disrespect impossible. This is the essence of Stoic masculinity: calm firmness, not reacting, not proving, not pleading, just standing. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. You don't argue for respect, you live it." And that means setting standards without explaining them. If she cancels last minute and expects you to reschedule right away, don't lecture her about effort. Simply say, "No worries. I'll be busy the rest of the week," and move on. If she disrespects your time by being habitually late, don't scold, just stop waiting. If she tests your patience with sarcasm or emotional games, smile calmly and disengage. Why? Because every time you explain your worth, you lower it. Every time you justify your boundaries, you weaken them. True respect is never negotiated. It's earned through your composure. Women subconsciously crave that steadiness. It's not dominance. It's discipline. It's the signal that says, "I'm not here to compete with you or to please you. I'm here to walk beside you, and if that's too steady for you, you're free to leave." That kind of man makes a woman feel both safe and challenged. Safe, because she knows he won't break his values for attention. Challenged, because she realizes she can't manipulate his emotions. But here's where most men fail the respect test. They think setting boundaries means being aggressive. They confuse firmness with coldness, so they overcorrect. They start talking about alpha energy, acting detached, trying to prove control. But control that needs to be shown is control that doesn't exist. Stoic strength isn't loud. It's quiet. It doesn't need to say, "I'm in charge." It simply radiates, "I can walk away." That's the secret. A man who's willing to lose a woman who disrespects him will never lose the women who value him, because respect begins with self-respect. And self-respect is built in silence, in how you speak to yourself, how you manage your emotions, and how you hold your line even when you're tempted to break it. The woman who truly values you will notice your steadiness. She won't test you for weakness, she'll test you for truth. She'll want to see if your calm is real or performative. And when she realizes it's genuine, that you don't flinch, don't fold, don't fake, her respect turns into admiration. So remember this rule: the man who enforces his boundaries without anger earns respect without effort. The respect test isn't about judging her. It's about observing how she responds to strength. Because respect is the foundation of attraction, and without it, everything else crumbles. Don't ask her to respect you. Don't try to make her see your value. Just embody it quietly, consistently, without compromise. The right woman will feel it. The wrong woman will fear it. And either way, you'll have your answer. Boundaries. They're not walls to keep people out. They're gates that protect your peace. Every man believes he has them, until a woman he likes begins to test them. And that's exactly what the boundary test is designed to reveal: not who she is, but who you are under pressure. C. A woman can't truly respect a man whose boundaries collapse under her charm. She might enjoy his affection, appreciate his attention, but she will never feel safe with him, because deep down, she knows that if his emotions control him, anyone can control him. The boundary test happens quietly. It starts when she challenges your limits, not out of malice, but instinct. She wants to see if you are who you say you are. Maybe she flirts with you after disappearing for a week, just to gauge your reaction. Maybe she pushes a little when you say, "I'm busy tonight," to see if you'll rearrange your life to please her. Maybe she tells a small lie and watches if you let it slide, because you don't want to ruin the vibe. And every one of those moments is a mirror. It doesn't show her weakness, it shows your strength. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Every time you betray your boundary to keep her, you teach her to stop respecting you. The Stoics called this self-command, the discipline to govern your own impulses. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." If your boundaries can be bent by beauty, emotion, or validation, you're not leading the relationship, you're reacting to it. The Stoic man understands that peace costs something: discomfort, distance, and sometimes detachment. When you enforce a boundary, you will lose people. But when you don't, you lose yourself. So here's the test. When a woman crosses your line subtly or directly, do you correct it with calm firmness? Or do you laugh it off, hoping she won't think you're too serious? She might test your time showing up late, canceling plans, expecting you to chase. She might test your emotional strength, teasing, ignoring, or withholding warmth just to see if you'll crumble. She might even test your integrity, seeing if you'll abandon your principles to please her. And each time, your reaction communicates something far louder than words. When you stay composed, not cold, not angry, just clear, it tells her, this man leads himself. But when you compromise, when you break your word to avoid tension, she feels it instantly. This man can be led. That's the moment attraction begins to die. Because a woman may enjoy your affection, but she can only trust your authority when you trust your own boundaries. Here's what most men misunderstand. Boundaries aren't about control. They're about clarity. You're not setting rules for her. You're defining standards for yourself. You're saying, "This is how I operate." You can choose to join, or you can walk away. That freedom for both of you is what makes the connection authentic. When you set a boundary with calm confidence, you don't have to explain or defend it. Because boundaries backed by peace are more powerful than rules backed by fear. Let's make this real. Imagine she starts arguing over something small, trying to provoke a reaction. Most men would either argue back or retreat into silence out of frustration. The Stoic man, he listens, stays calm, and simply says, "I'm not going to talk when it becomes disrespectful. We can continue when things cool down. No shouting, no guilt, just truth." That tone, that steadiness, breaks the cycle. Because women aren't drawn to men who dominate. They're drawn to men who don't need to. The boundary test isn't about confrontation. It's about composure. It's about showing that your peace is not negotiable. That your time, energy, and emotions are not for sale. And the beauty of it is, when you pass this test, something powerful happens. A woman begins to relax around you. Why? Because she realizes she can't control you. She can only respect you. You become the calm center in her chaos, the grounded presence that anchors her emotion. That's when true polarity forms. Her feminine energy feels safe to soften, because your masculine energy never breaks. But if you fail this test, if you yield your line every time she challenges it, you'll feel her attraction quietly fade. And you won't know why. She won't tell you she's lost respect. She'll just stop trying to earn it. So remember, boundaries aren't about what you keep out, they're about what you allow in. And a man who can't say no will never have his yes valued. Pass the boundary test, not by speaking louder, but by standing firmer, not through dominance, but through discipline, because composure is louder than control, and silence is stronger than validation. Gratitude. It's not a word, it's an attitude. Every woman shows appreciation when things are new, exciting, and effortless. But the gratitude test begins when comfort sets in, when the effort you once gave becomes routine, when the good things you do stop being noticed, and when her reactions start to reveal whether she values your presence or simply expects it. Because here's a truth that many men never learn until it's too late. A woman who can't appreciate effort will eventually take peace for granted too. Gratitude reveals alignment. Entitlement reveals emptiness. When a woman is truly aligned with you, her appreciation shows up quietly but consistently. It's in the way she thanks you, not with words, but with energy. It's in the softness of her tone when you support her. It's in how she acknowledges your effort instead of assuming it. But when she's entitled, when she sees your consistency as her right, everything shifts. Your gestures stop being meaningful. Your presence stops being special. She stops seeing the man and starts seeing the maintenance. And that's when you start feeling drained. Not because she's taking from you, but because she's stopped seeing you. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca once said, "He who receives a benefit with gratitude repays the first installment of it." Meaning, gratitude isn't about saying thank you, it's about reciprocation. It's how energy stays balanced. When she's grateful, your effort multiplies naturally. When she's ungrateful, it dies quietly. So here's the test. Watch how she treats consistency. Does she appreciate the calm you bring into her life? Or does she crave chaos when things feel too peaceful? Does she thank you when you show up? Or does she only notice when you stop? Does she meet your effort with warmth or with expectation? Gratitude is not about what she says when she's happy. It's about how she behaves when she's comfortable. The ungrateful woman sees peace as boredom. The grateful woman sees peace as luxury. One will keep testing your patience because she mistakes drama for passion. The other will protect your peace because she recognizes its rarity. Let's make this practical. Imagine you're always there when she needs support, listening, helping, showing up. But one day, you go silent. You give her space. You stop initiating for a while. How does she react? Does she check in, asking if you're okay? Does she miss your steadiness, or does she grow resentful that her source of attention disappeared? That single moment reveals everything. A woman who operates from gratitude will move toward you with warmth, with care, with awareness. A woman who operates from entitlement will move against you with irritation, with guilt-tripping, with blame. And when you see that difference clearly, you'll stop trying to earn appreciation from those who never valued it to begin with. Gratitude is also the test of mutuality. When a woman values you, she invests back, maybe not equally in quantity, but always in intention. It's not about gifts or gestures. It's about emotional reciprocity, her willingness to nurture the same energy she receives. If you plan something meaningful, she remembers it. If you support her dreams, she supports your peace. If you hold space for her emotions, she respects your silence. That's balance. That's alignment. But when she stops reciprocating, when your giving becomes one-sided, you'll feel it. The connection starts to feel heavier. Not toxic, yet just uneven. And uneven energy always tilts toward resentment. Here's the paradox. Gratitude isn't just a test of her character, it's a reflection of your standards. Because if you keep over-giving to someone who underappreciates you, you're not being kind, you're being careless with your own energy. A man who doesn't value his peace will always attract people who don't either. So the gratitude test isn't about judging her, it's about checking your own discipline. Do you keep pouring into someone who gives you less and less in return? Or do you recognize when appreciation turns into entitlement and walk away with grace instead of anger? Here's the Stoic truth. You can't teach gratitude. You can only embody it. When you live with appreciation for your solitude, for your time, for your growth, you stop tolerating those who treat your presence as a guarantee. Your calm becomes your filter, because a grateful woman doesn't need constant proof of your effort. She feels it, and she gives it back in quiet ways, in respect, in kindness, in emotional peace. But the woman who's lost in entitlement, she'll demand more while giving less. She'll confuse consistency with obligation. She'll take your strength for granted until it's gone. And when it's gone, she'll finally realize peace was the gift all along. So remember, gratitude reveals alignment. Entitlement reveals emptiness. Watch how she treats what she didn't have to earn. Because how a woman handles comfort tells you whether she's ready for commitment or just attention. Loyalty isn't proven when she's smiling beside you. It's revealed when she's silent behind your back. See, every woman can play the part when things are exciting, when you're giving attention, when life feels romantic, when everything is easy. But loyalty isn't tested in comfort. It's tested in distance, in misunderstanding, in silence. Because loyalty isn't about what she says when you're in the room. It's about who she becomes when you're not. The Stoics taught that integrity is who we are when no one is watching. And the same truth applies here. A woman's loyalty doesn't live in her words. It lives in her choices. You'll see it when someone else tries to gain her attention, and she redirects it with quiet firmness. You'll see it when her friends gossip about you, and she chooses understanding over judgment. You'll see it when life tests you when you're not at your best. Not charming, not available, and she stays grounded instead of turning away. Loyalty is calm. It doesn't need promises, labels, or performances. It's simply the energy that says, I choose you, even when it's inconvenient. But here's the truth that separates the genuine from the temporary. Most people confuse presence with loyalty. Just because she's near doesn't mean she's with you. Some women stay because it's comfortable, not because it's committed. Some stay because they benefit from your stability, not because they value your soul. And some stay because they haven't found a better option, not because they've made a conscious choice to stand beside you. That's why the loyalty test matters. It begins when you stop performing, when you stop being the provider of constant validation, entertainment, or security, and start living in your truth. How does she respond when your focus shifts from her to your purpose? How does she treat you when you're going through silence, rebuilding, or growing quietly? Does she become restless and withdrawn, or does she stand still, grounded? Patient, calm, that's loyalty. Not the kind that shouts, "I'll always be there for you," but the kind that doesn't need to say it because her actions already have. Now, let's look deeper. Loyalty isn't obedience. It's alignment. A loyal woman doesn't follow you blindly. She walks beside you consciously. She might disagree, but she won't disrespect. She might challenge, but she won't betray. Because her loyalty isn't about control, it's about shared integrity. You'll recognize this in the smallest things. She remembers your boundaries, even when you're not around to enforce them. She defends your name when it would be easier to stay quiet. She protects your peace, even when it costs her comfort. That's the kind of loyalty you can't demand. It can only be inspired. And here's where many men fail this test. They mistake control for commitment. They think loyalty means monitoring her, testing her, restricting her. But the more you try to cage a woman, the faster she'll want to escape. True loyalty doesn't come from rules, it comes from respect. A woman who truly respects you will protect you in rooms you'll never enter. She'll carry your name like something sacred, even when no one's watching. But when she doesn't, the signs are quiet. She starts telling small stories that make you look foolish instead of proud. She laughs a little too easily when someone disrespects you. She talks more about your flaws than your growth. And when that happens, you don't correct it with anger, you correct it with distance. Because a man who stays calm in the face of disloyalty doesn't lose power, he reclaims it. There's a saying, don't fear the enemy who attacks you. Fear the fake friend who hugs you. In relationships, the same applies. The greatest betrayal isn't in what's said. It's in what's allowed. The Stoic man knows this loyalty isn't about control. It's about character. He doesn't beg for it, test for it, or bribe for it. He simply lives in truth and lets time reveal the rest. Because time exposes everything. It shows who was pretending, who was loyal only in the sunlight, and who stayed when the nights grew cold. And when you find that one woman who stands firm in those cold nights, who doesn't need applause, who doesn't need an audience, you'll know something sacred. She's not loyal out of fear of losing you. She's loyal out of pride in standing with you. Remember this Stoic truth. Integrity is who we are when the door is closed. Loyalty isn't about staying when it's easy. It's about not leaving when it's hard. It's not about perfection, it's about principle. So, when life tests her patience, her loyalty, and her love, watch her actions, not her apologies. Because the woman who stays when she could leave, who protects your name when you're not there to hear it, who chooses peace over drama, that's not just attraction, that's alignment. And the man who recognizes that, who rewards loyalty with trust, not control, becomes the kind of man no woman with depth will ever want to lose. Freedom, the one test that reveals whether love is genuine or built on control. Every relationship feels strong when both people are getting what they want. But true character, hers and yours, appears when freedom enters the room, when space is given, when choice replaces certainty. Here's the paradox. Most men think holding tighter keeps a woman close. But in reality, what keeps her close is how safe she feels when she's free. Love, that depends on need, isn't love, it's convenience. A woman's freedom will always test your confidence, because freedom exposes attachment. It reveals whether your calm is real or just a disguise for control. When she wants time to herself, when she pulls back to think, when life distracts her, that's when your reaction speaks louder than your words. Do you panic, overanalyze, and chase reassurance? Or do you stay centered, grounded in the truth that what's meant for you will never require force? That's the freedom test. It's easy to look loyal when she's watching. It's easy to look confident when she's texting you back every hour. But the moment she steps into her own world, when you can't predict, can't influence, can't control, that's when your strength is either revealed or replaced by fear. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." A woman with depth will always test your ability to let go, not because she wants to leave, but because she wants to know whether your peace depends on her presence. If it does, she feels caged. If it doesn't, she feels safe. That's the irony. The more you try to keep her, the faster she drifts. The more you trust her freedom, the deeper she roots. This is where most men fail. They confuse peace with passivity. They think letting go means not caring. But real composure is the opposite. It's caring deeply while still allowing space. It's presence without pressure. Because when you can hold her hand loosely, she'll hold yours willingly. But when you squeeze out of fear, you strangle the very connection you're trying to save. Here's how the freedom test shows up. She may say, "I just need a little time to think." She may start spending more time with friends. She may not text as often for a while. Most men collapse at that moment, spiraling into anxiety, replaying every conversation, assuming she's losing interest. But the Stoic man does something different. He doesn't chase the silence, he becomes it. He anchors himself in calm, knowing that her distance isn't his defeat. It's her space to rediscover alignment. Because here's the truth. Freedom is how a woman recharges her desire. When she's free to choose, her choice gains weight. If she comes back, it's not because she had to, it's because she wanted to. And that's the only kind of loyalty worth having. This test isn't just about her, it's also about you. Can you give space without resentment? Can you trust without control? Can you stay grounded even when her energy shifts? Because every time you try to control, you lose the frame. Every time you react from fear, you lose attraction. And every time you let insecurity dictate your moves, you teach her that your peace is conditional, and conditional peace never lasts. But when you pass this test, when you let go with strength instead of desperation, something shifts. She feels your detachment, not as rejection, but as respect. She realizes your love isn't built on dependence, it's built on discipline. That's when freedom turns into magnetism. Because here's the quiet secret: women are drawn to men who don't need them to feel whole. Not because those men are cold, but because they radiate certainty. They live from abundance, not from fear. Freedom doesn't weaken love. It refines it. It strips away illusion and leaves only truth. If she returns, you know her loyalty is genuine. If she leaves, you know your peace never depended on her. Either way, you win because you didn't lose yourself trying to keep someone else. The Stoic man doesn't chase ownership. He creates alignment. He doesn't demand obedience. He earns trust. He doesn't confuse attention with affection. He knows that love cannot survive where control begins. So when you face the freedom test, when distance appears, when silence stretches, when uncertainty grows, remember this: you don't have to chase what's real. You only have to stay still enough to see who chooses to stay. Because the love that needs control to survive was never love. It was fear wearing affection's mask. And the love that grows in freedom, that's the kind that lasts. Every test before this: respect, boundaries, gratitude, loyalty. Freedom was never just about her. It was about you, because each one reflects not who she is, but how you respond to who she becomes. The reflection test is the moment you stop asking, "What does her behavior mean?" and start asking, "What does my reaction reveal?" See, women don't just reveal themselves through their actions. They mirror the level of awareness within you. Her respect shows how you handle consistency. Her boundaries test how you handle control. Her gratitude tests how you handle giving. Her loyalty tests how you handle absence. And her freedom tests how you handle loss. Every test she gives is a reflection of your own discipline. That's why the Stoics taught, you cannot control the behavior of others, but you can always control your own responses. When she's disrespectful, do you react or detach? When she crosses a line, do you argue or reinforce the boundary in silence? When she forgets to appreciate you, do you complain? Or do you observe quietly and recalibrate your energy? The reflection test separates emotional men from grounded men, because in the end, relationships don't expose a woman's true nature nearly as much as they expose your inner stability. You learn more about yourself through her behavior than through any self-help book. Her inconsistency will show you your patience. Her distance will show you your faith. Her silence will show you your strength. Most men fail this test because they try to control the mirror. They spend their time trying to fix her reflection instead of studying what it's showing them. But the man who passes it, he doesn't react. He reflects. He doesn't chase clarity from her. He creates clarity within himself. He doesn't beg for peace. He embodies peace. Because once you master your inner world, the outer one starts aligning effortlessly. This is the ultimate Stoic paradox. You don't attract better people by demanding more from them. You attract better people by demanding more from yourself. Each woman you meet is a reflection of the energy you carry. If she's chaotic, look at your boundaries. If she's ungrateful, look at your standards. If she's distant, look at your presence. The reflection test reminds you that your reality with women isn't about luck or timing, it's about vibration. You can only attract what you're ready to handle. And when you reach that point, when you can look at her behavior and say, "She's teaching me something about myself," you've transcended reaction. You've entered awareness. That's the difference between emotional control and emotional maturity. Emotional control suppresses. Emotional maturity understands. When you understand, you stop needing to prove, defend, or chase. You simply observe. You stay calm. You learn. And, ironically, that calmness, that stillness, is what makes you magnetic. Because a woman can sense when your peace isn't performative, when it's not a tactic, but a truth. You're not silent to manipulate. You're silent because you've already understood. You're not detached to appear strong. You're detached because your strength is internal. You're not withholding validation to gain power. You're withholding reaction to preserve presence. This is the final test, the test of mastery. When she disrespects you, can you remain composed without becoming cold? When she apologizes, can you forgive without forgetting your lessons? When she returns, can you welcome her with grace, not from need, but from neutrality? Because mastery isn't about proving superiority, it's about proving stability. The man who passes the reflection test doesn't seek to win. He seeks to understand. He knows that no test from a woman can destabilize him unless he allows it. And that's where true freedom begins. Freedom from the need to be understood. Freedom from the chase for closure. Freedom from validation. That's when you finally embody the essence of stoic masculinity, calm, grounded, unbothered. You realize the goal was never to pass her tests. The goal was to transcend them. Because when a man learns to view every challenge, every silence, every rejection as feedback instead of failure, he becomes unstoppable. So here's the final Stoic truth to carry with you. You don't attract peace, you become it. And once you become it, every test becomes a reflection not of her worth, but of your growth. That's when you stop reacting to women and start leading them. Every test respect, boundaries, gratitude, loyalty, freedom. Reflection wasn't about judging her. It was about revealing you, because in the end, relationships are not exams she has to pass. They are mirrors showing whether you've mastered your own energy, discipline, and peace. When a man becomes calm enough to observe before reacting, grounded enough to choose respect over ego, and strong enough to walk away without resentment, he stops chasing loyalty and starts attracting alignment. That's when you reach the level where peace becomes power, where silence speaks louder than arguments, where presence carries more weight than promises. So if this message reached you today, don't just nod and scroll. Pause. Reflect. Ask yourself, which of these tests am I still failing? Because the truth is, women don't test you to break you. Life does. To build you. If you felt something in this video, if it shifted your perspective even a little, take that stillness with you. Let it guide how you move, speak, and love. And if you want to keep growing in this journey, becoming the man who leads with calm, commands respect in silence, and builds unshakable inner strength, then this is your space. Hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment about which test resonated most, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because the world doesn't need louder men, it needs calmer ones. Remember this: peace isn't passive, it's power mastered. And once you own that, no test from life or love can ever shake you again.